Hello, you guys. How you doing? So, today we're going to talk about Gale, Yellow Brick Road. What is that? So, a lot of people actually, for some reason, did not know this movie even exists. I was talking to somebody at a store, and they had no idea that this movie even exists. So, gonna warn you right now, there is a bunch of spoilers ahead, and it is on streaming services. I'm not sure which one you'll have to look, but if you don't want this spoiled for you, then don't watch this. If you don't care about spoilers, go ahead and watch it. So, I'll wait. Hey, you're back. Okay, cool. So, heavy spoilers ahead. So, on February 11th, US had this huge movie come out for one day only. And it was called Gale, the Yellow Brick Road, which is the second part to this, what was labeled as fantasy horror, and it was a sequel to Gale Stay Away from Oz, which I had actually never seen. To be fair, I knew the first part was out, but I never watched it because I didn't know where to necessarily find it, and I don't know if it actually came out in theaters here in the US, and if it did, it was not, massively announced very well, and if it wasn't announced very well. So, but it ran for an hour and 35 minutes, and in my opinion, it was more psychological thriller. So, really quickly, I want to give a shout out to the Oz vlog, Tori. She did a great explanation of just about the movie and everything, because she is a Oz historian, and she is. When I was still on TikTok, I still followed her. I actually had to go follow her on YouTube because not on TikTok anymore. But when I saw that she obviously was in the theater and she did the intro for the movie, like she did that for the Wizard of Oz 88th anniversary, I got so excited. And probably nobody knew who she was, and I'm like, yeah, and I'm cheering, and nobody else knows who the hell she is. And I'm like, yeah, you guys should not be here if you don't know who that is. Yeah. So, shout out to Oz vlog Tori, because seriously, big fan. Love your work. Love you as a person, because, man, you answer some awesome questions, you do some awesome work, and you know some awesome facts. So, shout out to you first off, Tori. Oz vlog. Love it. Okay, so we're going to go right into it. So, this is the story of Dorothy's granddaughter who, so it's a story of Dorothy, who's now an older lady, and she is kind of, the memories of Oz are now a nightmare to her. And her granddaughter finds her, and she finds an old box of her mom's, and heavy trigger warning, this is going to contain about suicide, so if that's a touchy subject for you again, you can skip over this part. But and her mother had committed suicide, and she's kind of trying to figure out why her mother committed suicide, because in the beginning we obviously don't know. And so she finds a box with her mother's stuff, and Dorothy's name is found in it, and so she goes and finds Dorothy. And it turns out that Dorothy says, stay away from Oz, which naturally in any horror movie, it's when you are told to stay away from X place, you somehow go to find X place. And Dorothy is found to be in a mental asylum. Which, I should have found out the name, and I can't remember the name, but it's for the mentally unwell. But it's the way they made it in the movie, and for the life of me, I can't remember how they said it, but for the mentally unwell, it's the way they named it in the movie, which was freaking hilarious. It was perfect. But, in the mental asylum, that's what I'm going to call it, because it's called something else in the movie, but it's really funny how they name it. She meets Eric, who, because her car breaks down, and she meets a guy named Eric, who she thinks is like a security guard. And that's the spoiler. We think he's a security guard. And he's kind of just like, you don't know what to make of him, because he's like dead face. The warden wants you. And that's literally how he talks. Like, deadpan face, no emotion behind the face. And it's, the warden wants you. And he's not blinking. He's not, no emotion. It's quite terrifying, to be honest. And you don't know what to make of this guy at all. And this is maybe like 15, no, this is like 15-ish, 30 minutes into the movie, 15, 30-ish minutes into the movie-ish. I low-key like this character because you don't know what to make of him. You feel uneasy, and you almost, it's one of those characters where you want to pepper spray him because you don't know what to make of him. And then, so she's uneasy about Eric, but it's the only person that, like, she finds within, like, a radius of humans in this place. And then she finds a file of her mom's and finds out her mom had actually been there. And then we find out that Eric is a patient there, and he's in a wheelchair, and they have drugged him. She's like, Eric? And he is now in a wheelchair, drugged with a needle, and he's foaming at the mouth because they've drugged him. And all hell just breaks loose from there. That's like your first trip of the moment of, okay, well, Dorothy, you're staying here because, one, your car's broken down, you can't go anywhere, and two, you're not well. That's your first, as Tori would put it, it's kind of your first fake out moment of, like, what are we going to do here? And so, at this point, we don't know really what to make of this situation because we know that the person lied to Emily, is her name. I think, I don't know if I said it, but, I think I might have said Tori. Sorry, I meant Emily. Tori is the Oz vlog girl. Emily is the main character's name. And I do apologize. I'm reading off without my glasses, and Emily is the main character's name. I do apologize for the misspeak. That's funny. This is why I don't usually do videos without my glasses on, because I can't see shit. But Emily, we find out, is now drugged, or not drugged. Eric is now drugged, and Emily's like, what the fuck is going on? And, well, now, Emily, you know, your mom was here, but that means you're gonna stay here because now you apparently know too much. And, yeah, that's not good for Emily. So they finally try to drug her. She kicks the orderly in his jewels and runs. And she runs in the woods and tries to get out. And that is the first time that we see her not in the mental asylum. And she tries to get a rowboat, but I think they might have got her, because then we find out she's kind of woozy, and she's in a rowboat, and then she just goes. And that is when we find out that she makes it to Oz. There are bits and pieces I missed, because I don't want to spoil everything for you guys. I don't want to give you a play-by-play of the entire movie. I'm just kind of giving you bits and pieces, because this was a crazy movie. I'm not giving you, like, a complete play-by-play, but just important pieces that are important to the movie. So then, now she's in Oz, and she has no idea where the hell she is. No clue. We know she's in, well, we don't know right away she's in Oz, but I'm just telling you, she's in Oz. The first creature she meets, and we don't know what the fuck this creature is, and I say it in that nice tone because we don't know what the fuck it is beautiful, beautiful Patches. In my opinion, Patches is my favorite, and you will think Patches is your favorite too if you see this movie. The thing is, Patches does not say a word the entire movie. You will learn why if you see this movie, because she has a book, like a journal her mom made, or her grandmother made, Dorothy made. And it shows Patches and what Patches is. And I don't remember off the top of my head what it said, but Patches is a good guy, basically, and wants to be friends with everything. So Patches just goes and kind of does that, like sign language almost. Not really sign language, but just trying to show the book and wants Dorothy to see, and then she reads out what Patches is. Patches is helping her. So Patches is showing Dorothy where to go. And we see a broken yellow brick road. When I mean broken, it is like broken beyond repair. And they're following it. As they're following the yellow brick road, we see, again, this is probably my favorite part. And this was probably the most disturbing part. But again, I'm a big fan of Wizard of Oz. Not as big as Tori, obviously, because Tori's an Oz historian. But because there were so many rumors and so many theories on the original Wizard of Oz and the Hanging Munchkin, which obviously we find out later that's not true. It was a bird on set. And if I'm wrong, Tori can correct me, but I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly, it was a bird on set that we see opening its wings in the background. But for years, people thought it was a hanging munchkin. They took that and they showed a shot of a hanging munchkin in a tree. Not once, but I think they did it twice, or maybe even 3 times. But I think they did it twice. It was the most disturbing thing ever. But if you knew why they did it in this particular movie, it was the best callback ever, in my opinion, because I am a horror movie buff. Love horror movies. That, in my opinion, made me laugh. Everybody in the movie theater, by the way, is like scared, like quiet as hell, and I am laughing during this part. And I'm like, ooh, I sound like a psychopath in this movie. Like, yeah. But I'm laughing because, like, yeah. I mean, that was such a great callback, in my opinion. And then, apparently, Emily's not supposed to talk or make noises. Because for some reason, the Munchkins are not happy-go-lucky little Munchkins anymore. They are, like, man-eating, like, cannibalistic creatures in this Oz now. They don't like people, I guess. So if you make noise, they try to eat your ass. Not eat your ass, but eat your ass. Like, they will try to, again, they will try to unalive you. I have to be careful what I'm saying because I forgot this is still YouTube. They will try to unalive your behind. It's not good. So, Patches keeps telling her to shut her mouth just by, like, she doesn't do it, and she yelps again, like, ah, but really loud, and a Munchkin hears her. It gets up like a fucking zombie, like, but he's covered in, like, goo and, like, blood. It's, like, it's gross. It's cool. And he starts running after her. They actually hired little people, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure these were little people. I do give homage to that they hired little people with the whole thing going on with little people not being hired. So, again, homage to that they hired little people for this and they didn't use CGI. You know what I'm talking about. So little people had jobs for this. Even though it was a smaller production, not smaller production, but, you know, it's not like MGM Studios and all that. They got hired to do this movie. So, they had little people doing this movie. It was a very creepy scene. I'm pretty sure they sped it up, so it was a lot creepier. The little person got up, the Munchkin got up, started chasing Emily and Patches. Patches straight up unalive this Munchkin, grabbed a rock, and off screen, by the way, because they won't show violence in this because it's Oz. Just grabbed the rock and I could not help but laugh because of the way this scene was done. And I busted out laughing. And it's supposed to be a really, like, scary scene and psychological thriller scene. I bust out laughing again. I am the only one in the theater laughing at this point. And I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, I am so twisted. I'm so twisted. But it was a great scene, though. It was greatly done. No violence. It's a psychological thriller, so it's not supposed to be bloody and violent. It's supposed to mess with your head. It totally messed with my head. I'm laughing at this, and nobody else in the theater is laughing. I'm like, oi. Because all you hear is the laughter of me, and that's it. In this whole theater, that's dead silent, and I'm laughing. But anyway, so, blah, 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 we're in Oz, blah, 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 blah. We find Dorothy later on. She figures out all this stuff. Again, we're not going to spend too much time in Oz, because, again, I really want you to experience this for yourself, because this is a very psychological thriller. It's not really fantasy horror. Well, it is a little fantasy, but it's really a psychological thriller. Psychological thriller. It really fucks with your head. And we're going to get into a few bits and pieces here in a minute, but we then, before we leave Oz, we then are introduced to the fact that Eric also plays the other half of the Tin Man when he is the Tin Man, because we later, when the Wicked Witch comes, the Tin Man is revealed to be Eric, because he gets attacked, and we find out that is Eric. And she finds her way home. which I think is a very good twist again. That was beautiful. And yeah, so I give props to the people who made this movie. I give props to the actors. I really liked it overall. Now, the things that I wanted to address were too many fake outs. That is something that Tori said. There were too many fake outs. Do I think there were too many fake outs? In my opinion, because again, everybody has their own opinion. I don't think so. And the reason I don't think so is because I like having my brain kind of screwed with horror movies. And so I like being messed with in horror movies. I like not knowing what's real and what's not. And I like not knowing till the very bitter end. So to me, the many fake outs was like, wait, was that real? Was that real? What's that real? So the reason I'm saying that is the very first fake out was when she was told that she's been in the psych ward for 6 years, and she made all that stuff up about Eric being an orderly. She actually hid the key in his room on purpose. She was hiding clues around the asylum on purpose so she could go find it. That was your first fake out. Again, you need to go watch this movie and experience it for yourself because it's such a good movie. I know I'm going to miss something because I couldn't remember all the fake outs. I just remember a couple of them because, again, this was such a good movie. And then number 2 was when she's in Oz. And was she really in Oz? Because we kind of have this moment of like, was she really in Oz? Was Patches really real? Was the Tin Man really real? Was like her whole experience of getting bashed in the head? Was she really in that boat the whole time? Did she really pass out in the boat? Did she really escape the asylum? Was she ever really at the asylum? Did her car really ever break down? That's the second one. And the third one was, okay, I never addressed this in this video, but when she found the box, she was in her basement of her house. And she hit her head. And that's where the movie starts, and that's where the movie ends. So that makes you wonder, did everything beyond that point ever happen? So I love the innuendo of how it starts and how it ends is how the movie is. And I love that about Yellow Brick Road. I almost said Return to Oz. I love that about Yellow Brick Road is the movie starts and ends the exact same way. Her on the ground in her basement. But the doll she's holding is Patches. And at first she has no idea what the fuck it is. And at the end of the movie, she knows who it is. And I love that sequence of just not knowing to knowing. And it's beautiful. And in my opinion, everything was done beautifully. I think because also having a mental illness, dealing with suicidal thoughts and all that, it kind of resonates with me more. And so I can understand where they were going with parts and being in that mindset of like not knowing what's real, what's not. I love the way they did all that, and it was beautiful. Does it have anything? Did it run too long? Did it run too long? In my opinion, I don't think it ran too long. I'm just glad it was an hour and 35. In fact, I actually, when I was talking to my dad about it, I said, how are they going to fit all this in an hour and 35 minutes? I think they did it beautifully in an hour and 35 minutes. I'm glad it didn't run longer because I'm like, I don't think it needed to run longer than an hour and 35 minutes. So I'm really glad my cat's in the way. I'm glad they didn't run it longer. So I think they did a good job. And then finally, does it follow Wizard of Oz at all? Does it follow Wizard of Oz at all? No. It's like more of a futuristic Dorothy being older and kind of feeling crazy, if you will, of the like horroristic version of Dorothy being in Oz and not knowing if any of it was real. That's about the only, like, that much of it being Oz. Otherwise, it's somebody's like horroristic version of Oz. None of it follows the original Wizard of Oz whatsoever. So, then why do people have a problem with it? Because there are people who have a problem with this and don't like it. Why? I can't speak for the people who have a problem with it. I can only theorize, which is I don't know if you heard that, and I have to address this because it's really funny, but I said that like that, and my cat just let out a big fart. It was really funny. But why do people have a problem with it? So I can only theorize, but my theory why people have a problem with Gale Yellow Brick Road is that simple. It doesn't follow Wizard of Oz at all. But that's the thing. It was never supposed to. To my knowledge, this is a 3 or 4-parter. I think it's a 4-parter. 4-parter. It was Stay Away from Oz, Gale Yellow Brick Road, and Return to Oz, which is coming out, and I don't know when. I think it's like 2027. But it's a 3-4-parter, and that's what it was supposed to be. By no means was it ever supposed to be Wizard of Oz, a prequel, sequel, whatever. But it has Dorothy in it because Dorothy is like the, I guess, quintessential part of Oz, and that's about it. Because she is the person who has like the link to Oz, and that's really it. And everything else is kind of like surrounding, and that's what gets you into the world of Oz. But that's it, is Dorothy, because Dorothy's from Oz, but Dorothy's like 80 years old at this point. You know, she's a grandma. So we have Dorothy, and then everything surrounds Dorothy and the story, and we can make up our own story from there. And that's it. I think that's what people have a problem with. It's like, guys, if we realistically did this, Dorothy would be like 80-something years old. If we did a timeline for real, Dorothy would be like 80 years old. So, I mean, this makes sense, though. But I like a horror version of Wizard of Oz. Actually, I would like a horror version of Wizard of Oz. This might get me in trouble, and I'm sorry, but I like horror. Of somebody taking, like, kind of the original Wizard of Oz, if you will, but making it horrifying. That would be kind of cool. That one I would be okay with. But I do like the original, don't get me wrong. Fun fact, though, did you know that that when they're going to go after the Wicked Witch, they all have a weapon. If you look closely, one of them has a pew-pew. And that was because there's a scene that's cut out when they're picking weapons, and they never showed that scene, but you can see them holding all their weapons, and one of them's holding a pew-pew. Yeah. That was actually shown because when it became 4K, you can clearly see it, but back in the day, that detail's not really obvious because the detail's not obvious because the picture is so not great yet, so. But it's a pretty known fact now. It's not really, I mean, it's not really that not known of fact now. It's a very known fact now, but yeah, there's some people who might not know it, but yeah. Other than that, though, I loved Gale Yellow Brick Road, and I really hope you guys find a way to stream it, because if you like psych thrillers, even though, again, it is fantasy horror, it is more of a psych thriller. I promise you, it is more of a psych thriller. But I would suggest either watching my video or the Oz vlog to get a sense of it first. Our videos are going to be completely separate, me and Tori's, just because hers is obviously a little different. Mine goes a little more in depth about everything. Like I said, I had a couple notes on what I wanted to talk about. And I'm a little more twisted because you're coming from a horror movie fan who loves horror, psychological thriller. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope this helped. And I hope you guys have an awesome day, okay? Bye!